Hare. No pinana manaba. Iri badare. Yasodhanandana prachadana ranjona. Yasodhanandana prachadana ranjona. Jamuna Tera Manachade. Yamuna Tera Manachade. Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunya Vihari. Jaya Radhu Madhuva Kunya Vihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Charananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shilohidas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Maturadam Ki Jai. Jagadavasami Ki Jai. Yamunamaya Ki Jai. Srimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarani. So we are reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 60th chapter, texts 3 to 6. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we are just going to read the first verse responsively, because otherwise the class would go on too long. And then we'll read the other verses after everyone's responded and chanted, and then we'll go on to the word-by-word meanings and purport, etc. Okay. Tasmin antar grahe rojan mukta dama vilambana virajate vitanena dipayar mane mayar ape. Okay, just that one verse. Tasmin antar greke brajan mukta dhamma vidam vina virajate vitanena dipar mane mayarape tasmin nadar grehe brajan mukta dhamma vidambana virajate vitanena dipar mane mayarape tasmin antar grehe prajan mukta dhamma vidambana virajate vitanena dipar mane mayarape. Okay. Ladies. Okay. Guess that's it. Okay. So we'll continue, and I'll read the rest of the verses, and then we'll go on to the word-by-word synonyms. Malika Damabi Pushpar. Now we won't do this responsively. I'll just read them. Malika Damabi Taischa Gopis Chandrama Somalai Parijata Banamoda Vayunodhyana Shalinina Dupara Guru Jairajan Jalarandra Vinirgatai Payapeda Dibe Shubre Paryagte Ke Kashiputame Upattaste Sukhasinam Jagatam Ishwaram Patim. Okay, please repeat. Tasmin, in that. Anta Grehe, private part of the palace. Rajat, brilliant. Mukta, of pearls. Dhamma, with strings. Vilambana, hanging. Virajate, resplendent. Vitanena, with a canopy. Dipai, with lamps. Money, of jewels. Mayai, made. Api, Also, Malika of jasmines, Damavi with garlands, Pushpai with flowers, Dvirepa of bees, Kula with a swarm, Nadike resounding, Jala of the lattice windows, Randra through the small holes, Pravishtahi which entered, Cha and Gopi with the rays, Chandramasa of the moon, Amalai spotless, Parijata of Parijata trees, Vana of the grove, Amuda carrying the fragrance, Vayuna by the wind, Udyana of a garden, Shalena bringing the presents, Dupai with incense, Agaru from Agaru perfume, Jai produced, O King Parikshit, Jala Randra through the holes of the lattice windows, Vinirgatai exiting, Payaha of milk, Pina the foam, Nippe resembling, Shupre shining, Paryang all the worlds, Ishwaram the supreme controller, Patim her husband. Translation: Queen Rukmini's quarters were extremely beautiful, boasting a canopy hung with brilliant strings of pearls, as well as effulgent rays of the moon shone through the holes of the lattice windows. As Agaru incense drifted out of the window holes, my dear king, the breeze wafting the scent of the Parijata grove carried the mood of a garden into the room. There the queen served her husband, the supreme lord of all the worlds, as he reclined upon an opulent pillow on her bed, which was as soft and white as the foam of milk. So, we have the purport by the servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's disciples made this purport in consultation with the commentaries of the acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So, according to Sridhar Swami, Rukmini's palace was quite famous then as now, and these descriptions give a glimpse into its opulence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that the word Amalai in this verse may also be read Arunai, which would indicate that when this pastime took place, the moon had just risen, bathing the entire palace in beautiful ruddy moonshine. That means reddish moonshine. So, without reading the whole verse again, so Om Megana Timidandasha Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. So, some points before I talk about the main point I'm going to make is that we find that Parijata trees are there. Of course, these particular Parijata trees that were in Rukmini's palace were given by Narada Muni. They were given before Satyabhama got her Parijata trees, and Satyabhama got her Parijata trees by nagging Krishna to take the tree forcefully from the heavenly planets And then Krishna had to fight the demigods to get the tree there. So, of course, there is a difference in mood between Satyabhama and Rukmini. Satyabhama is what we call like a left-handed wife, and Rukmini is a right-handed wife. That doesn't mean that they write only with left hand or right hand. That means that Rukmini is in a very submissive mood, as we're going to read later on in this particular chapter, whereas Satyabhama is in the mood of sometimes man, anger, and envy. But that envy and anger is not based upon the same reason that we experience envy and anger in this material world. We experience envy and anger. Why? Because Jayato Vishyad Pumsam Sangustesha Vijayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kama Krodha Vijayate. Why? Because we are lusty. And we are wanting something and we don't get it, and even when we get it, we get angry. But Satyabhama's anger and her envy are all based upon pleasing Krishna. Try to understand this. There's different moods in pleasing Krishna. Just like amongst the gopis, you have Srimati Radharani and Chandravali. So anyway, so getting to the point. So this Parijata was given to Rukmini by Narada Muni. So let's try to understand why all these things are being described. Because generally opulence in this material world leads one to bewilderment, doesn't it? What is that? Janma Ishvarya Shudasha Shivir Edamana Da Puman. What? Twama Kinshanagotra. Oh, you all know the verse. You're all educated. That's nice. That any sort of opulence that we have, Janma, some of you may be very proud that you're born in Brahminical families. You may be, a Trivedi, Chaturvedi, Dvivedi, Ekavedi. I know there's no such thing as that. Or Novedi. So, or in certain parts of India, Sharma, different. So you may be very proud of your birth. Or you may be thinking, oh, this person giving classes from the West, I'm from India, I'm much better. And I may be thinking the opposite. So Janma and Aishvarya, money, isn't it? Bewilders one. Actually, that's described in this pastime that we're remembering this month. Mani Griva Nalakuvara, right? They became bewildered because their father had what? A lot of money. He was the treasurer, Kuvera, of the heavenly planets. So that's why they thought they could get away with anything. They could bathe naked in the Mandakini Ganges with these society girls. And in front of Narada Muni came. And instead of covering themselves, they just like, hi, Narada. That's a great offense. You should not appear before a great sage without clothes, before anybody without clothes, but because someone's so proud. And I've actually seen this even in someone gets an inheritance. There's a nice brahmachari there in the temple, saffron, very enthusiastic. All of a sudden, his mother or father pass away, and he's left with crores and crores of rupees. Oh, forget about Hare Krishna now. Right? Forget it. And then, Janma Aishvarya, Shrutasya. One is very learned. Then they think they know more than the spiritual master, right? Oh, my guru misquoted that verse. I know. Just like we are dealing right now with this situation, discussion in ISKCON we're having in the GBC about where the soul came from. Some of you heard about this discussion before. Did the soul come from the Brahmajyoti? Did the soul come from the Tatashta? Did the soul come from Krishna Loka? Or did the soul simply come from Mumbai? It's a joke. There's a discussion like that. And so Prabhupada was very clear. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Radharasa Bihari Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Jai. So Prabhupada was very clear. I was just reading this compilation of Prabhupada's statements last night. I was reading. And Prabhupada was very clear. He said that because of our desire to copy Krishna, we came to the material world. So we are originally Krishna conscious living entities. Also in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the first things that Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that never was there a time that I did not, nor will there be a time when you, never was the time when you did not exist, never will there be a time when the soul doesn't exist. But people think sometimes they're so intelligent they know more than Prabhupada. And then they criticize Prabhupada, and of course that's the cause of what? Fall down. Vaishnava Parada. And then Janmaishwari Shutasha and Shribir. What does that mean? Beauty, some bodily beauty. Very, very dangerous for a sannyasi to be too attractive. Or for a brahmachari to be too attractive. Like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very attractive and he took sannyas at 24 years of age, right? It's pretty young. I took sannyas at 28, so it was pretty young. So when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at 24, shortly after that he went to Jagannath Puri, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very worried about him. You are a young sannyasi, let me help you understand Vedanta. And of course Lord Chaitanya ended up teaching Vedanta to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But still, these are things that bewilder one. So here we're reading about all these different things that Rukmini has in her palace. The parijata, the bedding, the moonshine, everything like that is, wow. If any of us had that, we'd probably leave Krishna consciousness, right? Even we find devotees hankering for the latest, even some stupid thing like that, right? Some piece of electronics, mobile phone, or the brahmacharis hankering for a new devotee. We're very attached to what little we have. They say a pauper is attached to his penny, right? So, what's going on here and why are these descriptions being raised? Well, the reason that these descriptions are being raised is these are all different elements that Rukmini has. Like you see, here in India you have so many of these malls where there's ladies, they walk around shopping. One time, I was in Kanchi, Kanchipuram, which has the best saris of all of India. Handloom saris. Anyone's heard of that before? No. You brahmacharis don't know about saris. Because you're in saris. So it has the best handloom, beautiful, beautiful saris. So I was guiding this group of devotees going around South India. I was a tour guide. Years ago I used to take tours around South India with devotees. And I would guide them. And so we took them into the sari shops. There's so many sari shops in Kanchi. Anyone here has been to Kanchi? You know what I'm talking about. Right. So, of course, I was more interested in seeing the deities of Radha Raja. So we took them in. And also I was thinking maybe we'll get some nice saris for my deities. And so we went in, and the ladies went crazy. And I wanted to spend 10 minutes there. And then I went away, went back to the hotel, went to sleep, and I found out the ladies were there all night long, pulling the saris off the shelves, buying, spending crores of rupees. And fortunately, they did buy 4 or 5 saris for my deities for me. So that's good. But the rest of the night, decorating bodies. Now, this is not criticizing decorations on bodies. I'm just making a point. But Rukmini is decorating herself and decorating her palace to be able to please Krishna. And all these different things being described here are manifestations of Rukmini's desire to serve Krishna. Try to understand that. So it's very, very important. And Rukmini is very attentive to all the details in arranging her palace, because she sees everything as an ingredient to serve Krishna. That's called Yukta Vairagya. For those of you who don't know what that means using things in Krishna's service in this world. Or as Prabhupada explained in the 4 principles, utility is the principle, right? Using things to please Krishna. And she did everything in exquisite detail because of Krishna. So our problem is we don't see that everything is connected to Krishna, everything is owned by Krishna, and everything is meant to be used for Krishna's service. We are not on the level, as the Bhagavad Gita described, as Yomam Pashati Sarvatra Sarvam Chamayu Pashati. Anyone know that verse? Tasham Nat Pranisha Sachame Na Pranashati. 6:30 Bhagavad Gita. We didn't see Krishna everywhere, see everything in Krishna. We're not understanding Nishavasam Idam Sarvam Yakincha Jagatam Jagatena Chiktena Bunjina Magradha Kashasvidhanam. Everything is owned and controlled by Krishna. Everything is meant to be used in Krishna's service. So therefore, we even when we're doing our devotional service, are subject to this point that Rupa Goswami mentions, which is niyam agraha. In other words, not thinking of why we're doing what we're doing. Even when we're chanting Japa, we're just on automatic pilot, so to speak, right? We're not attentive to the detail even of the Japa. I mean, the most common question I get from devotees is, how can I pay attention to my Japa? So many questions devotees ask, but my mind keeps wandering. Chanchala himana Krishna pramati balavadridam tashaham nag vayor eva shiduskaram. The mind is restless, turbulent, very obstinate, and to control it is more difficult than controlling the wind. So that's the most common question. The reason we're inattentive is because we Chaitanya Rasa Vigra Purashura Nichibukto Vinatwam Namanami no, and we're not connected with any sort of desire to serve. In other words, we're doing things without asking ourselves, why are we doing what we're doing? What is the purpose? Who we're trying to please? If we have this sankalpa, then we'll be more attentive, like Rukmini. Rukmini is very attentive. This is for Krishna. It's for Krishna's pleasure. Every motion I make, just like when I was with Prabhupada. One thing, amongst many things I noticed with Srila Prabhupada, that every single motion that Prabhupada made, every single thing that Prabhupada did, was to please Krishna. There was nothing done unconsciously, independently, for any other purpose. So you could watch Prabhupada do the simplest things, and it was like you'd be in ecstasy, because it was all pure devotional service. I remember sitting behind Prabhupada as he would play the cartels chanting Jai Radha Madhava. And if anyone's seen Prabhupada, how he plays the cartels, it was very beautiful. His hands go, and the fingers would go out like that every time. And I was watching, and I was mesmerized. I don't get that same response when I'm watching someone else play the cartels. It's just like, maybe they're trying to impress how what a good musician they are or something. But every act of Srila Prabhupada's was an act of bhakti or devotion. It's amazing. That's what it means for someone to be an absolutely pure devotee of the Lord. Anyabhilashata shunyam jnana karmanavritam anukuyena krishnanushiladam bhaktirutamam. Shunya. No other purpose, motivation, anything except for what? Desire to please his Guru and Krishna. Wow. And if you watch the videos of Srila Prabhupada, you can appreciate that. So, of course, I'm not expecting us to be at that same level. However, we should strive for that. Remember every moment. Emotions, spiritual emotions. Of course, right now, we're experiencing Bhava Rog. That means sick emotions in the material. Just like some of you, including me, may be hungry. So that's, Bhava Rog. Of course, we're going to eat prasadam, so that's kind of nice. So, but we're interested in spiritual emotions. And these emotions have been analyzed by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And I'm going to give a brief analysis so you understand what's going on here with Rukmini. So, if you see Krishna, or start feeling ecstasy because you've seen him, that stimulated your emotions. And udipana means those things which are related to Krishna. For example, if you see what? A peacock feather, right? All of a sudden you remember Krishna because you see the peacock feather, then that's an udipana. That means things related to Krishna. So, you understand? Alambana and udipana. Just like that story of in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gupta, who is a doctor. What? What was who? Oh, Mukunda. Sorry about that. I got it wrong. It's Mukunda, who was advising the Muslim Nawab Hussain Shah about medical affairs, and they started to fan the Nawab Hussain Shah with a peacock feather, and he fell down from this very high platform. And he was embarrassed to say that he actually was in ecstasy. He actually said he had epilepsy or some disease like that. So anyway, so this is an udipana. So Rukmini is seeing everything connected to Krishna's service as a stimulation for ecstasy. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Just like if you see the chakra on top of the temple, if you see another devotee, if you see a peacock, if you hear a flute, then it should stimulate your ecstasy, right? Just like one time I was at Govardhan and I heard a flute. And I thought, oh, finally I'm hearing Krishna's flute. I was in ecstasy. But then I realized it wasn't Krishna. It was just some mundane person playing a flute. So that's an example of an udipana. So anyway, so this is called bhava, emotions. And then after you experience these emotions, then you do something voluntary. Just like today, it's called an anubhava. Today, the devotees were dancing when they were experiencing ecstasy during the different prayers, chanting Hare Krishna, Guru Vashtaka, like that. That's called Anubhava. And that's another type of emotion, but that's voluntary, what you decide to do. Then there's the Ashta Sattvika Bhavas, which are eightfold ecstasies, which are constitutionally part of the self, and they're involuntary. You can read about this in the Nectar Devotion. I'm not going to give a whole Nectar Devotion class right now. Then there's Vyabhachari Bhavas, or the Sanchari Bhavas. And these Vyabhachari Bhavas and Sanchari Bhavas, there are actually 33 of them intermittent ecstasies you can't control. And then there's something called the Sthai Bhava, which is the emotion related with your particular relationship with Krishna. I got it. Hold on a second. We went offline for a second. Oops. There we go. So then, anyway, Sthai Bhava. So anyway, these are the different bhavas, but these bhavas or emotions are stimulated by the vibhava. And so Rukmini is seen like that and experiencing ecstasy even before Krishna goes there, just by seeing all these ingredients. Just like if you're making a flower garland, if the ladies are making a flower garland for Krishna, Krishna's not there at that particular point. Of course, he's always there. But you haven't seen the deities at that particular point, but you're experiencing ecstasy because you're preparing things. They're a new deepana for your ecstasy or your remembrance of Krishna. So we have to develop that attitude in Krishna consciousness, that everything, ultimately, everything becomes an udipana for the service of Krishna, because you see, as I mentioned before, 6:30 in the Bhagavad Gita, everything is connected to Krishna. You see Krishna everywhere, you see Krishna in everything, and you're never lost to Krishna, nor is Krishna ever lost to you. That's Krishna consciousness, to see Krishna everywhere. So everything, even if you see someone who has not yet come to Krishna consciousness, that's a stimulation. Oh, I want to bring that person to Krishna consciousness. Notice I'm not using the word demon. I don't like the word demon. If we see people as demons, then how can we distribute books to them? We see people as forgetful of their relationship with Krishna. So, also it's mentioned by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in relationship with this verse, that Parikshit Maharaj is also, who's listening to this explanation by Shukadeva Goswami, is experiencing ecstasy by hearing all these things, and he is shining like the moon. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's description. So, anyway, so these are some of the points. Oh yeah, another point I wanted to make in regard to this verse. There's 3 words in the verse that are, actually every word is important, but in his mood in service to Krishna. And these words are Jagatam, Isuram, and Patim. So, of course, that means the Lord of the universe, the controller, and the Lord, Patim. And so this indicates she's worshiping Krishna in the mood of awe and reverence. So this is the mood in Dwarka. And of course, the mood in Vrindavan is a mood of intimacy, not of awe and reverence. So Rukmini's mood is manifest by these 3 particular words in the verse. So, I think that that's all I want to talk about today. So any questions or comments? Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, performance of Vrindavan Leela pastimes, in that chapter, Mahaprabhu appreciates how Lakshmiji's servants, they come and arrest Jagannathji's servants, and they give bad words like that. So Mahaprabhu says, oh, I have never seen so Lakshmi Devi so proud like that. So in this regard, it looks like Rukmini Devi is very mild. It looks like different Lakshmis have different moods.
Yes. So he's referring to the Lakshmi Vijay ceremony that takes place. Some of the devotees may not be aware of this. That on the fifth day after the Rath Yatra, fifth day of the Rath Yatra, Lord Jagannath has gone to Vrindavan, basically, Nilachala, anyway. He's gone to Vrindavan, and he's told Rukmini, the goddess of fortune, I'm just going for a short walk. Right? And he hasn't come back after 5 days. So then Rukmini, that is the goddess of fortune, gets very upset, and she goes there not to attack Lord Jagannath, but to attack his servants. See, that's the interesting thing. The difference is in the intimate mood of Vrindavan, or even in Satyabhama's mood, there's actually direct anger towards Krishna, isn't it? And there's an interesting story in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita where Satyabhama observes the love of the residents of Vrindavan for Krishna and Krishna's love of the residents for the residents of Vrindavan. And she gets so upset that she goes into a room of her palace called the anger room. All the queens, they would have one room just for getting angry in the palace. Oh my God. And of course you see this also in the Ramayana, isn't it? Kaikeyi, she gets very upset. She goes to her anger room, and poor Dasarath doesn't even know what to do. He's ready to promise anything just to make her peaceful. So, but with Krishna and Satyabhama, when Satyabhama gets angry and she goes to her anger room, Krishna doesn't make any promises. He says, "Get up, Satyajati." He doesn't even call her by her name. He calls her by the name of her father. He said, "Actually, I don't love you." Isn't the Brihad Bhagavatamrita? The only reason I got married to you is because you remind me of my girlfriends in Vrindavan. So we find that there's a difference between Dasarath relating to Kaikeyi and Krishna relating to Satyabhama. Like that. So in any case, Rukmini has this submissive, she's right-handed, she's submissive mood in relationship to Krishna. And as a result, when she wants Jagannath back, she doesn't attack Lord Jagannath, she attacks his servants instead of Lord Jagannath. Is that all right? Okay. I think that's an important point. So, yes, more questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for the very wonderful class. So in the beginning of your class, you were mentioning about Srimati Radharani and the expansions. Looks like
Chandravali.
Yeah, so Satyabhama, is it like she resembles the nature of Srimati Radharani very close?
She has the mood of Srimati Radharani.
And the same is Chandravali has the
Rukmini. That's actually described very nicely in the Lalita Madhava by Srila Rupa Goswami. Lalita Madhava and Vidagdha Madhava are two plays that were written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Vidagdha Madhava deals with Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lalita Madhava deals with Krishna's pastimes leaving Vrindavan and in Dwarka. And these are very advanced literatures. I mean, if anyone's interested in hearing them, I've done narrations of them that are available as apps on the Google Store and the iStore.
So amongst all the gopis that we hear, Srimati Radharani is the topmost because Krishna really likes her man, and that's what we see in Vrindavan also, the Man Leela, Man Mandir and all.
Yes.
So that means the left wing gopis, the Vam Swabhav, is little more dear to Krishna. Amongst all, everyone is dear, just like Shukdev Goswami is describing about 16,100 wives got married in different temples.
Yeah.
But then he chose Rukmini's pastime in this chapter. So any particular reason why he didn't choose Satyabhama's pastime? Because Satyabhama's qualities is very close to Srimati Radharani.
Satyabhama is in the last chapter. She's in the last chapter. If you read this is chapter 60, in chapter 59, you have Satyabhama and Krishna, and Satyabhama is basically nagging Krishna to get the Parijata flower. So he chooses both of them. You understand? So it's not that he chose one. He's showing the conflicts between the... It's an interesting point, because he's showing the conflicting moods between the two wives of Krishna, between chapter 59 and chapter 60 in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, but Krishna is most pleased with Srimati Radharani and the what we call the unsubmissive mood. Not really unsubmissive. She's pleasing Krishna. She's thinking that my man will please Krishna. It's not like the anger that we experience in this world, which I mentioned before, is due to frustration and material desires. Her anger is there because it is a manifestation of her love for Krishna. We cannot equate it with anything in this material world. If we project our own mundane understandings upon the spiritual realm, we're going to be committing an offense. And of course, that's sahajism. So we have to be very, very careful. Krishna likes, here's another way I can explain that. Krishna likes a lot of spices in his relationship. For example, if someone just gives you a sabji and there's no spices, you do not want to eat. Like they were giving Prabhupada just boiled vegetables one time, and Prabhupada, just for Prabhupada's health, and Prabhupada said, let the starvation committee go to hell. Famous story. Because Prabhupada said, better to eat spicy. And so, just like you all like garam masala, right? No. Okay. I can give you what I eat. You would be very unhappy. Because I just take like boiled stuff. Well, let's finish with that. It's hard for me to think with it. Clang, 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 clang. Should be. Okay. So, we like things that are more spicy, right? So Krishna likes things that are spicy. That's why, in addition to the 5 basic rasas, the Staibhavas, like Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras, you have these 7 indirect rasas. It's humor. Krishna likes being humorous. Krishna likes ghastliness. Right? Anger. All these things are spices. They're the garam masala for Krishna's enjoyment. So Srimati Radharani is expert in giving Krishna the tastiest ras, taste in Krishna consciousness. Okay? Another question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. One devotee was sitting there. He raised his hand. He was a college professor. He went to college for teaching. He has his question. His name is Yashoda Kumar Prabhu.
Okay.
Maharaj, what about many devotees after spending years in KC, but still they leave the movement? What we have to understand and how we have to take this positively?
Okay, so the question is raised that many devotees, after many years in the movement or some years in the movement, leave the movement. What is the reason? There could be many different reasons in each particular case. One is that someone is committing offenses. One is that someone is cultivating weeds, the weeds in the creeper of devotion, desire. For example, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions that one of the causes of anarthas is the byproducts of bhakti. So, for example, when you're a devotee for many years, hopefully you make some advancement, you get some respect, you can give a class, or you may get a position. You become temple president. Prabhupada said, this is not about any particular temple president, don't worry. Prabhupada said, if you go to Lanka, you'll become Ravan. What does that mean? That by taking a position, it's very dangerous. Just like my position, I'm a sannyasi, okay. Or I'm trying to act like a sannyasi. Or I'm dressing like a sannyasi at least. So, and I have some disciples. So, people offer obeisances, they offer a facility, and they say nice words, and then every year I get a book written about myself, and I get to hear how nice I am. Oh my God. It's very dangerous, isn't it? Profit, adoration, distinction, subtle sex life. So after a while, I begin to think how nice I am. Here I am sitting, giving class, everyone's listening. Ishwaraham, aham bogi, siddhoham, balavan sukhi. Does anyone know that verse? That's a demon's mantra, Gayatri mantra. I chant that every day. Ishwaraham, aham bogi, siddhoham, balavan sukhi. I am perfect, I am powerful, I am happy. And so, that's called an anartha. So I have to be very careful about that. I always have to cultivate the consciousness that Gopi Bharta Parakamala Dasa Dasa Dasalu Das. I'm a servant of a servant of a servant of the Lord. In other words, I'm sitting up here, I'm trying to serve all of you. That should be my consciousness. But it's very dangerous to take a position. So there's many reasons. That's one reason. Another reason is, achahara payasascha, eating too much, collecting too much, vajalpa niyamagraha. Another, especially what I mentioned before, niyam agraha. You don't continue performing devotional service with the right mood. You're doing it ritualistically. What we call putting yourself on automatic pilot. And so, for any of these different reasons, one forgets. And also, it relates to why someone came to Krishna consciousness. Chaturvada bhajanti mam. People come for 4 basic reasons. So if one comes because they're looking for knowledge, they're more likely to stay. So whatever reason we came for, akama sarva kama moksha kama dharaditi vreda bhakti yogena yajeta purasham param. Whatever reason we came for, we should evolve or change that reason into a desire to please Guru and Krishna. And if we don't change, or our motivation doesn't come to that point, we're not going to be able to stay. So,
his second part of his question is how to see this in a positive way.
How to see it in a positive way? Prabhupada said, this is what Prabhupada said, don't be surprised to see how many people leave, but be surprised to see how many people stay. And I'm seeing so many amazing devotees. And another thing is positively, swapamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. That even if one stays for one day, even if one chants Hare Krishna one time, they're started on the path of devotional service. So, yes, we understand, bahunam janmanamante jnanavamam pravajate. It's going to take many, many births for people to become Krishna conscious. I mean, I myself have understood that I just want to serve Krishna Prabhupada life after life. That is my aspiration. More than going back to home, back to Godhead. That's very exalted. I'm thinking if I can be Prabhupada's servant life after life, that will be my perfection. So I'm put in this position now that I can serve Prabhupada. I'm most fortunate. I don't need anything else. I thank Krishna every minute. So you look at it a positive way.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I will forward the response to him. I have one question.
Yeah.
So in the beginning days, someone comes to ISKCON and feels we assume like it is an ecstatic mood sometimes. Some devotees, they have commented like when they see his tails down, they see Krishna and Balaram, black and white. When they see Krishna standings for so long, they feel like emotion, let me do massage service to Lord. So that particular devotee is asking me a question that sometimes they themselves feel like, is it madness in the materialistic field, or it is really bhava or anubhava for Krishna?
Interesting question. It depends on the individual. I'm not trying to analyze a particular individual. They may be on a level where it's actually a spiritual bhava, or maybe just projecting their own material concepts upon the absolute. Everyone's an individual. I can't give one answer that fits all devotees. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, we have one more question, and then we have prasadam because people are hungry.
Hare Krishna. Swamiji, that I wanted that you please explain when and how you have joined full-time ISKCON devotee, if possible.
How I've joined?
Then how and when you have joined ISKCON?
Personally?
Yeah.
How? 3 hours?
No, as far as possible. You can tell briefly, in short.
Okay. How? By Prabhupada's mercy. Why? By Prabhupada's mercy.
Yeah. Hari Bol.
If it wasn't, I explained yesterday in class, if it wasn't Prabhupada, for Prabhupada, I wouldn't have joined ISKCON. Because the devotees, yesterday I explained, the devotees were just too heavy with me. And I wanted to be Krishna conscious, but not with all those heavy preachers. So, by meeting Prabhupada, how? Meeting Prabhupada, why? Because of Prabhupada. I hope that's a short explanation right there. Yeah, another question. Yeah.
If I try to do attentive chanting, then I get slow, and by slowly chanting, I can be more attentive, I feel. But then the time will increase for chanting. And if I go fast chanting, then it will be less attentive or no attentive, but it will be in good time.
Okay, so he asked the question, this is the last question, because we have prasadam, and I'm not transcendental. So, I'm sorry, I apologize. So, he said fast chanting or slow chanting. If he chants slow, he can hear. If he chants fast, he can't hear. My suggestion is chant with a desire to please Guru and Krishna. Study Shastika again. It's the mood. If you have the right mood, you can chant fast. Prabhupada chanted 5-minute rounds. Maybe you need to learn how to breathe differently. I'm not going to give a whole Japa session here, but listen to how Prabhupada chanted. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's 5-minute round right there. So if you listen to Prabhupada and then you maybe copy the same rhythm and everything that Prabhupada is utilizing, maybe that'll help. And then you could chant a little faster, because if you chant real slow, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, you'll be here the whole day chanting your 16 rounds. So you got to be practical too. Okay. So thank you very much. It's very nice to be here, and actually we're very happy to see His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami here. My dear God brother, who I've known for so many years, he's keeping me in the Hare Krishna movement and rendering nice service to the GBC as part of the GBC Executive Committee. So hopefully he'll be here for a few days and can give some classes. So thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
We welcome to Srila Prabhupada's office here, His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj.
His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai. His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.